Okay, I'm back. I just realized I had my headphones plugged in earlier. You probably couldn't even hear me that well.
I think we should get it going.
Okay. So I'm gonna let everyone in now. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday and welcome to partner call number 4. I'm going to mute everyone as they come in just to help make sure that everyone can hear us really clearly and there's no echoes or anything. Hello to everyone just joining us again. We're going to get started in just a few minutes, but I love to start these partner calls off by having everyone take a moment to leave your name, and if you're affiliated with any organization, leave that in the comments along with what state you're representing today. Oh, wow. Hello, Alaska.
Yeah, people from all over. It's great. I mean, this is really, truly a national effort.
Truly. I'm happy to say that this year we already have more representation for partners than we've ever had before in both quantity and location. So more states are covered than ever this year, which is truly really exciting because that means we really have an opportunity to spread awareness to more and more places. I want to give everyone just a few more minutes. We have quite a bit more people still trickling in. So if you're just joining us, we're going to get started in just a couple of minutes, but if you could take the time to put your name, your name, any affiliated organization and the state you're representing into the chat.
And, you know, even a friendly reminder that if you're not registered as an official NRPM partner through our website, please go ahead and do that. It just ensures that we account for you and we make sure that you get all communications. You know, we'd love to know who exactly is supporting this campaign.
Yes. Just one more minute and we'll go ahead and get things started. I just want to give everyone just one more minute to get settled in. Lots of people coming in from the South today. I love to see that. That's my home area.
Alabama.
All right, I am ready to get things started. So I'm going to say it again. Welcome to partner call number 4. I can't believe we're already like halfway through October because time is not real. But that does mean that NRPM is only a couple of weeks away. So hopefully everyone that is planning on doing an awareness campaign this in November is already in the planning stages. Today's partner call is for sure going to help with that. So I'm really excited. And I think, like for me, even saying local media outreach, it feels really intimidating. But I know that with Beth's guidance today that you're going to leave the partner call feeling really full and like ready to attack and make sure that you're spreading awareness as much as possible. Before we do get started today, though, I wanted to take a moment to introduce a couple of friends. So first, I wanted to formally introduce you all to our newest team member at MRS, Sam Moratti. Sam is the new Communications and Digital Media Coordinator. So as you participate along with us on social media this year using that NRPM 2022 hashtag, Sam will be the person kind of behind the scenes who you're truly engaging with. Also today, we have a very special guest, Kim Chenauld, who is with, Kim is the Community Outreach and Intervention Services Coordinator with Payne County Youth Services in Stillwater, Oklahoma. This for us is like having a celebrity in our midst because last year, Payne County Youth Services was named the Media Master at the 2021 NRPM Awards because they just had a very amazing campaign that we couldn't help but notice throughout last year. And I'm super excited to have Kim sharing with us later today. So today's partner call is all about pitching the story to local media. Our objectives today are going to be to learn how to use traditional media relations to raise awareness, educate key audience, and spur people to take action. And that's the key right there, is getting people to actually take action. We're also going to learn how to amplify your NRPM public relation efforts across your various communications channels. And with that, I am going to turn things over to Beth.
All right, thank you. Wanted to outline some key considerations, things to take into account before you really get started with your media relations outreach. And really first to highlight that what media relations is, it's really the practice of using a trusted third party, the media, whether that's print media, online media, broadcast media, to inform, educate, entertain, and motivate people to do something. So it adds credibility to your messages in that it's an independent party delivering messages to your audiences. News must be timely, and fortunately, NRPM provides that timely hook. If you don't have that sort of hook, a reporter may view your pitch as evergreen and may file it away for future consideration, but NRPM really does give you that timely hook, so you want to be sure to reach out to reporters in advance of November, get familiar with their deadlines. If you've got an event coming up in the middle of November, contact reporters a week or two in advance so they can get it on their calendar. If you're pitching a general youth homelessness story and you want it to run at the kickoff of NRPM, reach out toward the end of October. So again, it's important to have that timely hook so that you kind of give reporters a reason to cover this story now. You also want to consider the audience of your media outlet. Again, if you have an event, let's say in Chicago, you want to target Chicago papers or Chicago TV stations. You don't want to target reporters that cover outlying areas where their audiences wouldn't be able to attend your event. So you want to be very targeted in who you're contacting. Human interest stories drive local coverage. This is a great opportunity to share the stories of the people that you serve. NRPM is all about shining a light on the people that benefit from your services. So if possible, try and share the stories of specific youth that you've helped. In our case with NRS, we have a confidentiality issue, but if you don't have that, certainly try and share individual stories. And then anchor your pitch in concrete news and trends, data. That's going to add some credibility. It's going to give reporters a little bit of meat that they can add to their story. If you've got a survey, if you've got data, anything like that, it's always really good to share that kind of information. Again, it validates your messaging. There's lots of great data, survey statistics in our toolkit on the website, so you can pull from there, or maybe you have your own local data that sort of backs up and reinforces the pitch that you're trying to convey. And then the process. The process of generating publicity, it really begins with identifying your story angle, whether it's a specific program that you're wanting to focus on, if it's something broader about just the issue of youth homelessness in your community, if it's an event. So figure out what it is you want to convey to reporters and what it is you want them to cover. And then pull together key messages. This will help shape your media materials. And then if you're able to secure interviews for spokespeople, you can use those key messages to help prepare them for any of those interviews. But it'll help you really figure out what the story is that you're trying to convey. Writing the media materials. Those could be a pitch letter. It could be a press release if you've got something really meaty and newsworthy. You might use a media alert if you've got an event, and that really details sort of the who, what, where, when, and that would go to TV stations. You could pull together bios for your spokespeople, fact sheets. Again, you can turn to the toolkit for a lot of information to inform any kind of fact sheets about the issues, or you can pull together a fact sheet about your organization. And then feel free to provide those to reporters, because again, they're great resources. It helps make their job a little easier. And it also ensures that accurate information makes it out to the public. Once you have your materials, start researching the media landscape. And this is a little time consuming, but really important, because you want to know who to target. As I said just a few minutes ago, make sure you're targeting outlets where this pitch is relevant. So you could Google, let's say you're in Chicago, Google newspapers that cover Chicago area, and then start looking at their website, seeing who covers these kinds of issues. You may even want to reference some of the stories that these reporters have covered when you reach out. Google all the TV stations, just do a lot of digging. It's a little bit of a fact-finding mission, but once you pull together a really targeted and accurate media list, you'll be in good shape. And again, you'll want to include print, newspapers, as well as websites that cover your issues, maybe talk radio, and then TV. TV stations might have you in for an interview, or they might schedule a Zoom interview. They might come out to an event that you're doing. So just figure out who those outlets are in your community. And that's really the proactive outreach, but you could also do sort of more controlled approach and submit your own content. Some of these media outlets, particularly websites, they'll accept reader submitted content. And in that case, go back to your key messages, some of your materials, those statistics, pull together your own article. They typically post the guidelines on their websites and submit that. It's a great way to get some visibility, and in a controlled manner, it ensures that all of your messages make it out there. Another sort of controlled tool is a letter to the editor. And we've seen a lot of partners do this. We've seen them have success. And again, websites, these media outlets will list their guidelines. If it's 400 words or 500 words, just make sure that you follow their guidelines. And then when you're ready to reach out, it's so important to personalize these emails, because reporters are inundated. They get hundreds and hundreds of pitches every day. So you want to make sure it's personalized. If you've done some of the research, you'll know that a reporter maybe reported on youth homelessness 3 months ago. Reference that in your email. It'll make it stand out and probably pique their interest further. And then once those emails are out, follow up. Again, because they're inundated with these pitches, it's so important that you follow up. They may have just overlooked it, and when you call them or you just send them a gentle nudge, it can be enough to pique their interest and get some coverage. I would be kind of cautious about how much you reach out. I would suggest maybe one email or one phone call, but reporters do not appreciate the constant follow-up. So just be cautious in that. And then, if you followed up and they're interested, just make their job easy. Give them the materials that they may need, statistics, fact sheets, arrange interviews, do whatever they need to sort of help that story come to fruition. And then be sure to monitor for it. If you know that it's going to run on the 5 p.m. news, try and capture that or see if they've posted it online. If you're certain that they're coming out to an event, be sure to get that coverage that they run, because that's so important to share across all of your media channels, which Christopher will get into in a bit. But I don't want to overlook Kim. Kim has had great success with Stillwater media outreach. So Kim, can you even share a little bit of details about what you guys have done to be so successful?
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Beth and Chris, for having me on. And to the rest of you guys, run an awesome campaign, because if they give you an award, they send you really cool gifts. So some perks, some insider details there. But as far as media goes, I want to tell you a little bit about where I'm located and what we do in my agency, because that's important as far as how we engage the media. And we're located in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and we're a youth and family agency. So in Stillwater, we're a university town, and we have a population of about 50,000. We serve all of Payne County, Oklahoma, which includes towns that have populations as low as 300. So when we are putting the word out about NRPM, we are talking to college students, we are talking to rural communities, and we are talking to communities that have more aging populations, as well as very young populations like in Stillwater. So we engage all the media sources. We stay really in good touch with local newspapers, and we send them information year round about different things that we're doing, that our agency's engaged in, so that we have that running relationship with them. And for the NRPM campaign last year, we had sent out information about a candlelight vigil that we had scheduled, and we had invited some local legislatures to attend that to kind of help boost interest in that angle. And then once they got that information about the event, the reporter actually reached out to us and said, hey, we would like some additional information. And my approach was, please send me your questions in writing, because I wanted to take the time to go through and make sure they answered everything thoroughly, that they had accurate information. In Stillwater and surrounding areas, youth homelessness is not a very visible issue. If you visit our town, you're not going to think there are kids who don't have a place to sleep who live here tonight. But there certainly are those children. We run a transitional living program out of PCYS that helps to directly address youth experiencing homelessness. And so part of what we needed to do was make sure that people knew that the problem does exist here, and give them information that they can relate to. So if we look at homelessness numbers in Oklahoma for youth, it's in the tens of thousands. But if I were to tell a resident in my town that there are tens of thousands of homeless youth in our area, they would not see me as a credible source, because we don't experience that. So what we reported on was kids who had nighttime, they did not have nighttime shelter. Or they were without adults. Okay, and so that number is what most of our readers, most of our citizens are going to think of when they think of youth homelessness. Couch surfing, all of the other categories of homelessness are absolutely out there, valid, important things to address. But in order to engage our community, we needed a number that they could understand. And then we use that number to advertise our vigil, to gain support from local businesses of turning their lights green. And we even did a light display that had approximately the number of green lights as there are homeless youth in Oklahoma, to kind of give people that visual understanding that we don't get on a daily basis. So those are a few things that we did to engage media. We also have a local radio station that we'll go and speak to quarterly, if not more. So anytime that we have big campaigns like this, we try to set up an appointment with them, and we'll just go on and speak for a few minutes about what's going on, what the statistics are, why this is important. And that helps reach a different audience as well. And then I know we're talking about traditional media today, but in a college town, we also have to work on social media. So that's a big part of our campaign as well. And one of the great things about working for National Runaway Prevention Month is they give you so much to work with. The media toolkit, the stats, everything is right there. And certainly dig deeper and find those local numbers that are meaningful to people in your community. But with all the campaigns that we work on, I just want to say thank you to National Runaway Safe Line, because you guys do an amazing job of making it easy for us to partner and to help get the word out.
Wow, thank you, Kim. That's all very insightful. And you made some really good points that I didn't touch upon. One is really consider your audience. I think you make a really good point there in that you're trying to reach all different kinds of people with your messages. And so tailor your messages to those audiences. So that's a really good point that I overlooked.
I was going to say the same thing, not to jump over you, but I do want to say that it's a really important point when you're talking about, we're talking about basically customizing everything for your community. We offer quite a few resources that are templates or kind of like fill in the blank things, but you don't have to use them exactly as they are. If you do have that concrete information, that's going to resonate much more deeply with your community. So don't underestimate the power of being relatable and tangible, because people are going to react to things that they understand a little bit more or are curious about. And those are things that they can see in their community.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And one point that I neglected to state, we do have, because we're a university town, there's a university paper. They don't pick up the articles that we send them as well as the small community papers. So one way that we can get them to cover our efforts for NRPM is by getting them to participate in the Green Light campaign. So the Edmund Lowe Library on campus is a historical site in this town. And for at least the last 2 years, possibly longer, they have lit their bell tower up green for us. And that prompts the college paper writers to cover that story of why is the library green. So that's kind of a backdoor way to get them to cover us in their paper as well.
It kind of works a few different ways too. In that same regard, if you have young people in your community who are involved and willing to make a difference, a lot of the times their schools, like public libraries and things like that, are also willing to spread the stories about what these young people are doing. It connects the interest to National Runaway Prevention Month because they're almost inadvertently involved at that point.
Absolutely. And don't overlook, especially if you're in a more rural area, those public libraries are integral resources to those communities. In our smaller communities that we serve, we are constantly working with the librarians because it's sort of a hub in those communities, and they can really reach a lot of people. I mean, in their their population of 1,000 people, they can reach like 900 of them. So don't overlook that as an opportunity. We also recently reached out to the Stillwater High School's Gay Straight Alliance Club and asked if they wanted to either partner with us or become youth ambassadors, where we could sort of mentor them through their first year. And while I haven't gotten an answer back yet, there were positive vibes in the room. So I'm hoping that we can bring them on board, and it just furthers our reach.
That's great. That's really great. And you made one other point, and then I will pass it along to Christopher. You did mention that you build relationships with media throughout the year. I think that's really important to recognize that. Don't just use NRPM as the opportunity to reach out. This is sort of a chance to develop a relationship and keep that sort of steady drumbeat of publicity and coverage throughout the year. And it'll, certainly benefit you year long, not just during the month of November.
Absolutely. And a great example of that is just a few months ago, the newspaper covered some efforts that were going on at a local school to help combat youth homelessness. And they thought youth homelessness, who's involved in our community, oh, we need to reach out to Payne County Youth Services. And so we're already on their mind. So that's a great, when the press is coming to you, it makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It really is. And Christopher has actually put up a slide of our sample materials. And as he said, tailor them to however you feel is necessary. These are really just guides. Make sure that they're local and they reflect your own tone and your messaging. But we do provide these in the toolkit.
Mm-hmm. So next, I'm really elated to hear Kim talk, because this is really the first time that I'm getting this much of an in-depth look at how our partners are really approaching National Runaway Prevention Month, because we talk about it a lot, but we're trying to be more and more focused on planning this year. And as we approach next year, which we start planning in I think April or May, it's kind of the same. So knowing this and how you guys prepare helps us really build this up for next year. So I want to ask a couple of questions and have you guys engage with us. You can either feel free to unmute yourself and jump in, or you can drop a comment in the chat as well as questions. But I want to know, how has your organization used media relations to raise awareness? And do you have any suggestions from your past experiences of engaging with local media? And Kim mentioned something that was really important, is that their organization has media relations going year round. And then you end up leveraging that during National Runaway Prevention Month, which ties to what Beth said earlier, is that you now have a timely thing that's happening to connect it all to. So again, those questions are, how has your organization used media relations to raise awareness? And do you have any suggestions from your past experiences? I'll start off by sharing some of the way that we do it, and this will kind of tie into talking about the different types of media later. But at NRS, we of course have a lot of channels that we own that help generate publicity naturally. So our our Let's Talk podcast is a really great resource that people can cling onto and see and listen to really quickly. Also, if you're featured in an episode, a few of you have reached out about being in episodes, if you do get featured, that's a really great tool to use to reach out and say, hey, our community is being discussed in this podcast about youth homelessness. And because Beth does a lot of our media relations, I don't have any suggestions from your experience, but to not be afraid of a no, because that's really the worst thing, is those two letters, no, coming back at you and being like, this isn't a fit for us. And then you just move on.
Right. And no may mean no right now, but not necessarily in the future. Maybe a reporter will hold your information and reach out to you when they're doing a relevant story where they need your input. So a no doesn't mean no forever.
Does anyone else have any examples of how they use media relations in the past, be it radio spots, commercials on TV, or ads that they've placed on social media or in a newspaper, any type of having reporters come to a vigil or anything like that you had for NRPM? Any type of articles that have been published on blogs or news websites?
Well, we know a bunch of you are doing great work in the area of media relations, and obviously Kim has shared how they are succeeding there. And again, just reach out to us if you have plans to do some media relations. We're happy to help. But it's a great way to raise awareness and add some credibility. possibly bring more people into the fold, whether that's volunteers or donors. And it's earned media, so there isn't a cost to getting that visibility.
Oh, wow. So someone shared that they leverage their own staff and internal subject matter experts by making them available for interviews on timely topics in the news. That's a really, really smart way to approach that. Is that one thing that you'll hear recurring throughout this meeting is that it's important to feel credible when you're going to reporters about like specific information. They're going to have questions about where you're getting your facts or where the data is coming from. So if you have someone who's already an expert in that information, they're the natural choice to have speak with them.
Yeah, I think we can move on because, I think there's so much to say about once you've generated publicity, what can you do with it? How can you amplify those stories?
Mm-hmm. So the last little point that I'll talk about, and you can continue to add questions and comments into the comment section as we move on, but I wanted to talk about the different types of media just so it's really clear, because you really should try to create some bridges between these types of media. So there's 4 different types that are important to pay attention to. They're paid, shared, earned, and owned. The owned being the obvious, they're the ones that you already have. So like your social media channels, your website, blog, podcasts, newsletters, like especially email newsletters and things like that. They're things that are already branded with your organization and super recognizable. They're shared, which are shared social media, like of course your social media accounts, partnerships that you have. So of course, all of the partnerships that we're creating today in this partner call, sharing out each other's media is a huge way to bring attention to your media. There's earned media, which is people coming to cover what you're doing, the things that you're talking about, like the awareness kind of is created by the buzz in the community or the buzz online. And then there are paid media, which are things that you're paying for. I don't know if you're going to expect me to say something else, but yes. So like things like social media ads, sponsored content, things that you're paying to advertise. A great example of a crossover between these two is a pretty simple one that any of your like social media managers or people who share things on social media for you probably see every time they post, is that you can post something on social media and then after you post it, have that ad or have that post sponsored. That just helps you increase the number of people that you're reaching out to. And then you have shared content that's also paid content. If you have earned publicity that people are like, hey, we want to cover this and this is where we're going to share it. Sharing that earned publicity on your social media or talking about that on your own channels is another great way to make sure that you have multiple types of coverage. So you're leveraging messages and communications across more than one media type. Like I was given an example and it's right there in the comment, in the notes at the bottom. Secure a newspaper article and then share it on your social media. It doesn't really, you're doing yourself a disservice by not sharing out the news that's about you already. And that's a big reason why it's important to use like our hashtag and to make sure that you're sharing those things with us and your other partners, because we want to make sure that that information is shared amongst our circles as well. Also, a lot of you have already been taking the opportunity to share with us like articles that you know are going to be published or times that things are going to be lit in green. That is extremely helpful to us because we can go ahead and integrate that into our social media calendar and have that to share, because it's, again, really important for us to engage with each other. And the last thing on the slide is talking about if you're doing like events and things like that, or having something recognizable for NRPM on display at any of these events is really helpful to deliver the message. So if you're doing things like a candlelight vigil, having things like lit up in green in the area. There was an organization last year that had like green tea light candles, which was really cool and photographed really beautifully. A lot of people have already reached out about like renting theaters out and they're going to display films. Having like the NRPM logo like show before the film, if the theater is willing to do that, is something that's really helpful. Taking some of our free outreach and prevention materials to these events with you to have to hand out is a great way to help spread the word and give people real information that they can use. And I do know that we've had lots and lots of requests for these outreach and prevention materials, and we're working to get caught up on all of those. I know a lot of you are ordering that ahead of NRPM, and you will get it. We are making sure to prioritize getting all of that out to you. If your request is outstanding more than a few weeks, feel free to send me an email directly so I can keep an eye on that and try to get that out the door to you quicker rather than waiting until closer to NRPM. This is our contact information. Beth is a genius when it comes to media relations and a lot of other stuff that she won't admit to, but we both make ourselves available to you as much as possible. Of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. If you even need help with anything, you would be surprised at what we're willing to do to help make sure that this is a campaign that's successful for you and us as well. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions.
Yeah, are there questions here today? If there are, about anything that's been shared, we're happy to answer if you want to drop it in the chat or you want to voice your question.
Michelle, I see you there raising your hand if you want to share with us. Welcome.
I thank you both, and thank you, Kim, for your insight as well. I'm Michelle Bard. I'm the president and founder of the National Women's Coalition Against Violence and Exploitation. And we're an anti-violence organization in 4 states. And so one of our biggest things is making sure media matters when children go missing, because we have a missing children's division. And as a media consultant in my day life, I just wanted to piggyback on what Beth had to say with the timely hook, that we need to keep in mind November is an election year, election time. And so we've already sent out to the media and got that hook with NBC, our local NBC affiliate, KGW. Once you get somebody like that on board, the other media follows. And even if it's local media, your local media, the national media will pick up. So when you're strategic like Beth and her team have been, if you don't use it, you'll lose it, kind of thing. And so the same goes for media, but not all media is good media. So make sure your board members and anyone speaking on behalf of your events and the National Runaway Safe Line, that they know what they're speaking about, because damage control can be not only a pain in the butt, but also takes away from the whole mission of what we're trying to achieve. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And one last thing that Beth said was personalize it. Just keep in mind that if you send in bulk mail, unless you go through a group like Constant Contact or something, if you send it from your email, it will go to spam if you have too many people on it. So making it personal is very important.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Really good point. And in terms of sort of controlling your message and preparing your spokespeople, that's why we really strongly encourage you to pull together key messages. Keeps everybody on the same page, and again ensures that accurate information is out there and you don't run into problems. So again, a critical part of the process for sure.
All right. Well, if we don't have any additional questions, I'm going to stop sharing here. Our last partner call, our final partner call for the year, is next Thursday, only a week from today, exactly a week from today. It's really important that if you have registered for the partner calls, that you also make sure that you're registered as an official partner. They go hand in hand, but we just want to make sure that we also are keeping track of the people who are participating, because we make sure that your company's logo is on our NRPM website. If we make graphics that include our partners, we just want to make sure that you're included. And if you have any questions about what all of that means, just feel free to send me a message. I'm happy to help or answer any questions again. The recording for this call will go up about an hour from now, as well as all of the slides from the presentation. And you should be able to click on all of the links from the presentation as well. So if anything comes up again, just feel free to send me an email. Thank you guys all for joining us today.
Thank you.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.